From the station on your side, this is WAVY News 10.
Turning closer to the East Coast and prompting stern warnings from leaders.
And we're asking people not to try to ride out a monster.
North Carolina still sitting in the bullseye, why preparations are still so important in the Commonwealth as well.
Heading into the storm, Beta Virginia Beach Task Force taking off tonight and how they'll help in Florence's aftermath.
And no man or pet left behind.
Whatever you do, don't just leave your animals behind.
The plea from animal shelters involving man's best friend, plus what you can do to make sure your pet stays safe during the storm, too.
But the clock is ticking and Hurricane Florence is still turning in the Atlantic. I'm Tom Shad.
And I'm Anita Blanton. More than 5 million people on the East Coast are under hurricane warnings or watches tonight, and more are under tropical storm advisories as well. It was another day of getting ready, people stocking up, boarding up, and heading north ahead of the storm. No matter how you are preparing, everyone is watching this forecast.
Including our chief meteorologist, Don Slater, who joins us at the start. We're getting closer, but this storm's path is not set in stone, and we just got that 11 p.m. track.
Yeah, we did. And a little bit more good news to kind of reinforce where we've been during the day today. It's going to stay well to our southwest, so that's good news. There's still obviously some concern about what it could do. Nothing is quite written in stone yet. Hurricane Helene, that's going to roll off into the Atlantic, in the middle of the Atlantic. And Tropical Storm Isaac is going to head west and just plain fall apart by the looks of things. I just want to let you know they're out there. But this is the big one, obviously. Hurricane Florence still looking very, very strong. Very tight, compact storm. A little bit of raggedness on the inflow on the bottom of it right on through here. But again, still looking really quite strong. Now, we show you where it is in relation to us. Here's where we are. Here is the storm right now. And here's the latest from the Hurricane Center. 140-mile-an-hour winds. That's the same as it was at 5 o'clock and at 8 o'clock this evening. Moving to the west-northwest at 17 miles an hour. There's where it is by tomorrow evening at 8. It's bumped on up. I think tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, it'll bump on up to around 155. Now, that's getting really close to being a Category 5 storm. A couple more miles an hour, and it does so. There's where things are a little bit later on. This is by 8 a.m. on Thursday. And then we go to Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening at 8 o'clock. It's got it a little bit weaker, still a Category 4, but it's 130-mile-an-hour winds. And then it makes landfall. All of this stuff just came on in. It makes landfall by around noontime on Friday, but you'll note it hooks a little bit. Hooks right on in over the top of Wilmington, whereas before it was just right on into here, just to the north of Wilmington. Now, obviously, this cone is an indication of forecast uncertainty in terms of what's going on with this thing. And once it gets close to making landfall, there is some uncertainty. 110-mile-an-hour winds by 8 o'clock on Friday evening. Look at this, 8 o'clock Thursday to 8 o'clock Friday. It makes landfall here at noon. And then at 8 o'clock, so 8 hours, it's still right through there, right on in over the top of the Wilmington area. And then it starts to move on westward, and there's where it is by Sunday evening, 30-mile-an-hour winds. It's got 50-mile-an-hour winds here and weakening pretty steadily. And here are the forecast models, very, very tight right through here, and still some indication that it goes here. But now they're kind of going all over the place. So it kind of goes into the doldrums. Again, the high risk is right on into there as to where this thing is going to go. And you can see it again moving on through central South Carolina. Now, the impact for us, moderate to severe tidal flooding. I think it'll be mostly moderate. There might be some severe tidal flooding for Hatteras Island. There could be pockets of heavy rain, but really it's starting to look like those heavy rainfall amounts will be to our southwest. Models are now agreeing landfall well to the southwest. Thursday night late in terms of timing, seeing the effects of the wind and the rainfall into the area, certainly into the day on Friday, into Saturday. We could even see some remnants of this coming up on Sunday as well. We'll show you a lot more about what's going on with this. Show you the latest forecast models, too. It'll be coming up in just a few minutes.
And new resources being called into action tonight ahead of the storm. Virginia Task Force 2 is activating, and they're deploying from the Virginia Beach Fire Training Center tonight.
That's where 10 on your side's Aisha Tolliver joins us now. And Aisha, where are they headed?
Well, they don't have specifics yet, but they're likely to head somewhere west. Task Force officials say that their first priority is Virginia, but they're amped up and they're prepared to go wherever they're needed. They're packing up to head out ahead of Hurricane Florence.
And looking at the storms, this is one of the largest storms that I've seen in the last few years.
But this group of men and women aren't running from the storm, they're heading to it.
We prepare for this. This is what we train to do, so it's like when the bell goes off, we're ready to go to work.
Virginia's Task Force 2 was activated this afternoon. Their mission? To help as many people during Hurricane Florence as they can. The 80-person team consists of everyone from engineers to dog handlers and even doctors. And they specialize in search and rescue operations in urban areas.
I think we're concerned about a water event, mostly right now. There will be some trees and some powers, but our biggest concern is probably for our region is going to be a flooding event, so we're preparing to do a lot of water involvement.
The team from all over, some even as far north as New York, checked in this evening, getting their gear ready and going through a medical exam.
We're going to probably stage in the area tonight and leave sometime tomorrow morning, probably heading out west. We haven't gotten our destination yet.
Task Force member Alan Yee says the difficult part comes with packing to come back.
The hardest part is actually, it's not leaving, it's coming home. That is always the toughest part. When we've left other hurricane deployments, there's so much devastation, and we always feel that we could do more.
Now the team has headed to local hotels for the night. They will leave for their mission in the morning. Again, their destination is not clear, but they will know that by morning. But for now, in Virginia Beach, I'm Aisha Tolliver, 10 on your side.
And new pictures tonight show crews moving out from Naval Station Norfolk. Sailors from Helicopter Sea Combat Squadron 28 loaded their helicopters with supplies to evacuate more than 100 Hampton Roads-based aircraft assigned to Commander Naval Air Force Atlantic, leaving ahead of the storm. And tomorrow, nearly 75 aircraft will begin departing Naval Air Station Oceana in Virginia Beach as well.
A lot of people gassing up today, either to evacuate or just to make sure they are prepared with a full tank. This afternoon, there were lines at the pump at both Wawa and Kroger on Frederick Boulevard in Portsmouth. Many people not only filling up vehicles, but also gas cans. Leland Reed says that he wants to have enough fuel to run his generator for several days just in case he loses power.
Yeah, I use it all the time. I work with it. That's part of my work, but now it's going to be part of my survival.
AAA says it expects prices at the pump to continue to rise as the storm approaches the East Coast.
A reminder, evacuations are still in place for Zone A in Hampton Roads. That is the blue area, the darker blue area on this map. Thousands are trying to get out of town. Be prepared for major backups. We saw them especially today on the HRBT. Of course, Highway 12 is busy, as well as people facing the mandatory evacuations on parts of the Outer Banks. Today, we saw NCDOT busy piling up sand and reinforcing the dunes. So remember, if you are leaving, have gas, plan your route, get cash, and bring all those important documents.
You still have some time to figure out your zone. There are two website options, knowyourzoneva.org or vaemergency.gov. You can also call 211. We have a handy link to the map on wavy.com. Just search Know Your Zone there. While there are options for those evacuating, they become, of course, more limited when it comes to bringing your pets.
And 10 of your side's Brett Hall is here to set the record straight on where you can take your pets and, more importantly, what you need to bring.
So there's been a common misconception circulated on social media that you can take your pets when you're forced to evacuate to any hotel or shelter. That is not true, one bit at all. We actually spoke with one humane society who says if you are under this belief right now, you really need to make another plan. All packed up and ready to roll.
Let's get a lot of our animals out of harm's way.
James McQuallen and members of the Portsmouth Humane Society said goodbye to nearly 40 cats and dogs today. They're headed north to other shelters.
So freeing up some room so that we can take in if we have any influx of strays during the storm.
It's a problem he says he has seen far too often in the past.
Whatever you do, don't just leave your animals behind.
But only certain shelters and hotels will accept pets in Hampton Roads, none of which will operate like a boarding service.
Plan like it's going to be a long-term visit. Make sure you've got your food. If they're on any special meds, you're going to want to make sure, some people, when the dog's at home, they don't wear their collar. Make sure they've got a dog tag that has your name and number on it.
McLaughlin also says bring your pet's crate, leash, water bowl, and anything that will help comfort them in a strange new environment.
To us, our pets are just like our kids, and we want the best for them. We want to make sure we're keeping them safe and happy.
Something else you really want to do is check with your vet before this storm comes. You want to make arrangements to see what contact they have on file just in case there's an emergency during the storm. You can find a list of pet-friendly hotels and shelters on our website, WAVY.com. They're coming in more by the hour, and we'll keep it updated throughout this entire storm. Brett Hall, 10 on your side.
Just into the Wavy newsroom, this weekend's Zach Brown Band concert at the Veterans United Home Loans Amphitheater is canceled. It was scheduled for Saturday, September 15th. You can get a refund where you bought your ticket. If you bought online, though, or by phone, you're going to be automatically refunded. Remember, you can find a full list of cancellations on hrscene.com.
And viewer Bridget Lockridge sent us this video of workers taking down here at the oceanfront the awning at King Neptune Park, giving a clear view of that famous statue close behind.
We're getting a lot of important questions from many of you, including when is trash pickup going to happen? Is it going to be canceled? And where can you get a sandbag?
Where can I park? Where is my city offering shelter? We're on your side. We've compiled all the information for you on WAVY.com. It's all the city services available before and after Hurricane Florence hits. The guide includes cities in Hampton Roads, on the Eastern Shore, and into eastern North Carolina. We'll keep updating this as we get more information.
We are going through that brand new 11 p.m. update on Hurricane Florence and how it's affecting the storm's path. Just ahead, Chief Meteorologist Don Slater breaks it all down for us.
And don't forget, Jeremy Wheeler is on your side every morning with updates on the storm. Plus, Jen Lewis shows us any backups you might see if you are still planning to leave. Join the morning team tomorrow at 4:30 a.m. and they'll stay on the air until 9 on Fox 43. Well, tonight, the commander of Navy Region Mid-Atlantic has issued an emergency order to evacuate all personnel living in Zone A. That order is in effect until Sunday, much like a similar order issued Monday by Governor Ralph Northam. The safe haven is the region surrounding Asheville, North Carolina. If evacuees go there, they'll be eligible for per diem compensation. And the order does affect Naval Station Norfolk, Dam Neck, and J.E.B. Little Creek Fort Story, among other installations in Hampton Roads. Navy evacuees can get quick, no-interest loans to help with gas and lodging from the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. You can find that link on WAVY.com.
Local hospitals are releasing plans ahead of the storm. The Hampton VA Medical Center is starting to transfer its inpatients. All scheduled appointments are canceled between Thursday, September 13th and Saturday, September 15th. Outpatient clinics in Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, and Albemarle are closed tomorrow through Saturday. Centera Healthcare also released a statement tonight. It says its staff is trained to work through an emergency management plan. Also, be prepared for appointments, tests, and other services to be canceled or rescheduled because of the storm.
Now, your Super Doppler 10 forecast from Chief Meteorologist Don Slater.
Okay, take a look at what's going on with the storm. I'm kind of reading right up to the end here, showing you what's going on with the storm. Hurricane Florence, it did look a little bit ragged earlier, and it's doing the tighten up as far as the eye, looking a little bit cleaner and better, just a little bit more circular here. So again, it's really, really likely to continue to intensify coming up in the next 24 to 48 hours. Very, very strong storm right now. I want to show you once again where it is in relation to everybody. The Bahamas on down into here. Here's where we are. Here's Bermuda right here. It's a fairly small storm in terms of its area. It doesn't occupy a lot of the earth right now, but it's expected to widen out a bit, just a bit, in terms of the rainfall and the wind field with this 140-mile-an-hour winds. That's maintained. West-northwestward movement at 17 miles an hour. And again, it's been continuing, and it's been kind of wobbling westward a little bit, too, occasionally, taking a couple of wobbles westward and then continuing west-northwestward. So everything is still on track for it to come very, very close to Wilmington, North Carolina, coming up by Friday morning. Here's where things are by tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock, 155-mile-an-hour winds. I suspect that during the afternoon it'll get bumped up to that speed. There's where things are coming up by Thursday morning at 8. By Thursday evening at 8, it's got 130-mile-an-hour winds. And there's where it is by Friday at the noon hour. It's hanging a little bit of a left turn there a bit, according to the Hurricane Center with this latest track. Now, the track and the cone Florida fairly tight going up into about the 8 o'clock in the evening time frame, Thursday evening. Then it gets a little bit wider, and then it shifts it on off to the west. It's still going to be a very, very strong storm, 130-mile-an-hour winds, only weakens to 110 between noon and 8 o'clock. So 8 hours they're going to be under the gun, or very, very close to the eye of that storm. Worst part of the storm in terms of seeing that 110 or 130-mile-an-hour winds is going to be just to the north of the path, just to the right of the path, within about 50 miles. And that's where the really, really strongest winds and tides are going to be. They're likely to see a tidal rise of around 15 to 20 feet. By Saturday evening at 8, 50-mile-an-hour winds. There's where things are by Sunday evening at 8, 30-mile-an-hour winds. And that is basically a tropical depression. And it's just kind of wobbling around into there. Now, the cone is very, very wide at that point because the forecast models are just all over the place in terms of where it's going to go in the long run. In the short run through Friday, they're fairly tight right on into here. But as they approach land, they kind of go all over the place. So we'll have to watch what that does. But I'm reasonably confident in the long run that we're going to end up okay out of this. It's going to get nasty, but it's not going to be as bad, for example, as Isabel. So it's uncertain in the long run. Here's the Euro. Show you what's going on with that one. Again, that one takes it right on up to Wilmington, and then it hangs a left. Goes down the coastline. There's where things are by 7 o'clock in the morning. So it's a long time into the Wilmington area. It goes toward Charleston, 1 o'clock in the morning, late Saturday night, Sunday morning. And then finally by 10 o'clock in the morning, it's made landfall into the Charleston, Savannah area. And then from there on in, it starts to move toward Atlanta and then on up toward about Louisville, Kentucky by Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock. It's a long time to be out there. Now, there's where things are in terms of rainfall. 3 to 6 inches of rainfall with the Euro, over a foot of rainfall. I've seen estimates all the way up to 20 inches of rainfall for that particular area. Now, the GFS is still uncertain in the long run as well, but this one has come around to what's going on with the Euro. Makes landfall at Wilmington, and then decides it wants to head southward and southwestward. There's where things are by 2 o'clock in the morning, late Saturday night, Sunday morning. And then that one, too, makes landfall again near the Charleston area and moves it on up toward Columbia, South Carolina, and then on up through the Charlotte, North Carolina area, and then on up toward about Stanton in Virginia. So, yeah, there's some uncertainty remaining in this one. Now, the latest run of the GFS gives us a lot less rain, 3 to 6 inches of rainfall possible out of that, over 12 inches possible farther southward. So what's going on with all of this in terms of what can we expect? Confidence is higher for the forecast track. It's going to stay well to the southwest, but after it makes landfall, after it gets toward Wilmington, a lot of uncertainty about what it's going to do, so we still need to watch it. Tidal flooding around 5.5 to 6 feet. That's kind of an estimate. That's an estimate at this point. We'll finesse that as we get closer to it. Isabel was about 2 feet higher than that. So again, it's not going to be an Isabel. Gusts over 40 for Virginia, gusts over 75 for Hatteras. Nags Head, the gusts will be around 60. Heavy rain could still be a threat, but right now it's looking like it'll be mainly to the southwest of our area, toward Rocky Mount, toward Raleigh, Durham, some of those places. So 86 tomorrow. Good chance of rain on Thursday, and then Thursday night into Friday, into Saturday, and really even into Sunday. We'll see some rain out of it. Stay tuned. Jeremy will have more at 4 o'clock in the morning.
A short break from our hurricane coverage tonight to remember those who lost their lives 17 years ago today.
Doesn't feel like it's been that long, but September 11th, terrorist attacks claimed the lives of nearly 3,000 people. During our darkest hour, heroes emerged to help with the search and rescue. Virginia Task Force 2 FEMA team from Virginia Beach responded to the Pentagon. They worked for 8 days, going through rubble and making sure the building didn't collapse. They say 9/11 changed their team, helping them to respond better to all scenarios.
For 9/11, it was the ability for not only the national teams, but local and state teams to work together and really fortify what we do, so that today in 2018, I believe that the service that these teams deliver is far above anybody expected back then.
They will also remember the New York City firefighters who lost their lives. Many of them worked with the task force. The team has already responded to the Oklahoma City bombing, Hurricanes Katrina, Sandy, and Harvey, and the earthquake in Haiti.
Well, Hurricane Florence has already had a huge impact on the local sports scene, including at least one college football game that won't be played at all. That story next on the Sports Wrap.